Kuzu Sangpola and a warm welcome to yet another episode of Storytellers of drukyul. I'm your host, Tiki Sangmo. Joining me in this episode, I have a blogger, writer, and a man behind one of the most important initiatives in these past few years, and it has to do with one of the important basic necessities of all humankind, which is the toilets. We welcome Chablop passu to this episode of Storytellers of drukyul, and let us talk a little more about his journey until now as this multi-talented individual. Thank you so much, Chaplop, for joining me in this episode of Storytellers of drukyul.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Before we dwell into the other questions, can you tell us a little more about yourself?
Thank you, Diki. I was born and raised in a village called Yangthang. And you don't want to hear about me from my village folks because I was known to be extremely naughty, that when people tell me how naughty I was, even I don't believe them, so to that extent. Then much of my education was done in Paro Zongkok, starting from Paro Rimpong to Dawakha to Gaupe, drukyul, and finally ending my college from Paro College. So if I'm a vegetable, I'm very organic because I've never traveled outside to study anything. So because going to Paro College means becoming a teacher. So I became a teacher, and that's about it.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you started as a blogger in the year 2009?
Right, yes. Blogging technically was in 2006, but then seriously as a passu diary, as a brand, and writing seriously started in 2009, right?
And then I think that you started off at a time when blogging was not very popular. I think that not a lot of people knew the term blogging and the idea of blogging, but how and when did you learn about this idea of blogging, and then how did it all begin?
Like you said, it was very new, so there was hardly any example in Bhutan. Without example, it was quite difficult. There was not a concrete format that I found. Okay, I was still discovering how blogging was done. So sometimes it was just a picture. Okay, it was picture of my daughter, or I was experimenting with a camera. And I took a very good picture. I would show that off. So when I look back now, what I was doing with my blog in the initial year was actually exactly the thing we are doing with Instagram and Facebook right now, but on a personal level. So people were, and for the lack of content out there on the whole internet scape nigadi, I was told that some people who followed me from back then would tell me that when they went to the office in the morning, they would go to the office, put on their computers, and before beginning their work, they will open passu diary and check if I have written anything. So see, so much simple. No, life was so simple that even if I wrote anything, some people were going to read. So it was just a photograph, a letter to my students, a letter to my daughter. Then slowly I became this social blogger where I would pick social issues and write, and this interested a lot of people, I think. And I would have by then covered a lot of issues. Not only I was in Pajotang, so I would covered Pajotang. People, authorities there might have hated me sometimes loved me also because I would address issues, but sometimes pointed at that so that it affected them. So gradually I would receive issues from Thimphu also, people wanting me to write about certain issues here and there. So it was basically a social. Then now I know I was slowly becoming a social blogger, where I would point at social issues and try to address. And after Facebook came in, a lot of people started doing the same thing. So it was easy now, pointing out issues. So I gradually deviated from there and did something else for some time. But in the internet sphere, you don't want to be that outdated one that people will use it in a quiz as as an answer, who is the oldest blogger or sort of thing. I don't want to be that person. I just want to upgrade myself and remain so relevant now that I can still advise young bloggers to do things, and I can tell them how things work on internet. If you do this, this will happen, So I have, I think I take every opportunity to learn. In fact, I have my Audible podcast where I am learning how to do things on new things on blogs, how algorithms work, and what sort of things work on internet, what doesn't work. And but despite the fact that I know a lot about what things work, I still chose to remain on social blogging, because when I started, it was so random that I had to write about a lot of subjects. But young kids need not work like that. I am teaching young kids how to find their niche subject. Niche is important, but if you want to be overnight successful, there are a lot of random people out there trying to, for some reasons, they want to have a lot of followers in few days, sort of thing. They try to post everything that is popular on Facebook, copy from here, there, and just do this. But I'm saying, if you want to do a marathon on blogging, if you want to go far, then you have to find your niche. Then get known for that subject. About coins, talk to this person. Social, talk to the flowers, this, so you need to have your niche subject. So I'm focusing that every young blogger must. So now blogger labigaledi, my time was just text, then slowly it was pictures also, and now it's all videos and podcasts. So these are also can be considered as blogging only, but to the next level now. And you need not have a website as such. You can do it on Facebook, Instagram, but doing it with consistency and finding a niche and doing it consistently. And some people, just want to know how to make money. I'm saying, let's talk about it when you have 100 articles done or 100 videos done, and a decent following. After a few years, maybe 5 years later, just overnight you cannot make money. And this is another course, another day's living account.
I'm sure that whatever you wrote, the stories you told, all of them must be your favorite. But is there an article or a story or a picture or anything that you feel that I'm proud of this work? Is there any article like that?
Yes, there are in the several of them. On a grander scale, I think I'm grateful to one article which launched me as a blogger of some importance, because that blog went viral overnight, and millions of views in Singapore and Bhutan. So that was a open letter I wrote to a Singaporean minister, trying to defend that Bhutan is happy despite all our limitations. We have all the conducive environment, and we are unhappy about a lot of things here and there, but at the end of the day, when you sit down and look at your life and then put on the TV and look at the world, I think you have all the reasons to be happy, Mevalas. I was trying to explain all those simple things that are there that makes you a happy person, but that gives you opportunity to be a happy person. Of course, there will be small issues there. That's the point of view. So I'm proud of that blog that helped me as a blogger. But on a personal level today, I think I have an article which I wrote about my stepfather, who passed away, to whom I owe so much, but he passed away, and because life became a big, a nice, beautiful circle when I had a stepson also. So I was taking care of him. I was taken care of by a stepfather, Bebudal. So I felt like it is a beautiful circle, as in, I cannot pay back to my stepfather. He passed away. So I do it to my stepson. So that became such a beautiful story, And then finally I found this letting go of his memories, forgiving myself for not being able to do to him, because now I can do to him. So writing is liberating in that way. So you can actually find some means to console yourself, find a justification for certain things that you couldn't forgive yourself or you think bad about, and suddenly something helps. That writing kind of helped me.
So roughly how many articles would you have written in your blog?
On my blog, I can, thanks to the blog, all these things, I think without counting the things I've wrote on independent, exclusively on the page, on the blog itself, there are about 900 articles.
Wow.
And it's over 14 years.
Okay.
So yeah.
Moving from blogging, I think that we should also talk about the Bhutan Toilet Organization and looking after the hygiene of the toilet. So when you thought about this idea, how did this idea come to you? Was it because you were blogging about something and then you were like, oh, this is a social issue, but rather than just making empty noises, you actually took an action? Because a lot of people, we just say that, oh, this is a waste is a problem, or this is a problem, but not a lot of people takes action, but you did. So how did it happen?
So you I think figure it out. Yes, it's about blogging only. It's about it has everything to do with what I did with my blog. I was telling stories, and I was, as a social blogger, you point at everybody's flaws, and in Wangdi, I was potholes issues, waste issue, traffic issue, road not getting done sooner, everything I would talk about. But I also talked about Ongdi, the old hospital toilet, and the town not having a toilet. Then I would come to Paro and I would talk about Paro toilet. Everywhere I went, I would see toilet. But waste issue, I would point today, tomorrow this would be solved. Somehow there was this, I had a reputation that when it comes on Passu Diary, it gets solved, sort of, some easier things, If there was a pothole, I mentioned about it, then it will be covered tomorrow. So this used to happen back then. But when it came to toilet, no matter how many times I wrote, next time you go, it's the same thing. And I would ask around, who should be taking care of? Whom should I talk to solve this? And they would point me to this, that. And I found out that, yes, a lot of people have worked so hard to do this. But somehow, there was this missing link between the organization that has done this toilet, taking care of this toilet. There were major lack of education among people, and of course also among people who are supposed to take care of it. And about that time, I was also maturing and asking myself, okay, 10 years you have complained about many things. What are you going to do now? You have to do something. So something clicked there, and then actually just like many initiatives we do, I could have just conducted a cleaning campaign of toilet and finished it right there, but then realized that after having done a cleaning campaign also, problem still existed. So wanted to find out what happened. And about that time, my friend Ngaung Pinso would also say, world also has a world toilet organization. Bhutan should have, So I said, let's have it. And the brand name also impresses me. So sometimes I work from, when I want to do something, I just name it, give a brand, and then start working from there. Rather than working on the whole model and branding it later, I just need a name. And name inspired me, Bhutan Toilet Organization. And from there we started working, and rest is history now.
Yeah, and I think the recognition came in 2016 when you received the title of Chaplop. So maybe a lot of people might not know what Chablop actually means. So can you also tell the viewers what Chaplop actually means?
Les, thank you so much for asking this, because I really I'm so proud of this, and I think this is something that goes with me, like consistent inspiration, motivation, that every time I look at my name, and that inspires me. So it was right in the beginning, 2014-15, we were doing voluntary work with toilet, and 15 we attended the first Royal Bhutan Flower Show. no toilets there. Okay, toilet was not an issue. Government, our officials, they don't actually necessarily think about toilet. They would have all the other things arranged so properly. Okay, flowery, flags, everything, but toilet will not be there. And 2016, I realized that in 15 and 16 when we went for second flower show, by then I went with my team of volunteers and few staff, founding staff. We went to toilets for the festival, and we put toilets in 3 different locations. And by then, all the major towns ki toilet we have cleaned it all. And now even in events, we were going there with wooden portable toilets. We made it here, portable toilets. Back then, we cannot even think of importing. So we made it here and took. And I think that His Majesty noticed it. And during the closing ceremony, Brentole was invited there, and then I was in the public closing speech by His Majesty. He said, the toilets were so nice. And then I would be called Chaplop because I was a teacher. His Majesty knows that I resigned as a teacher. Now I'm taking care of toilets. So you'll be called Chaplop, Chapsagi Lube, Chaplop Ime. So that was the, suddenly. And back then, I'm honestly saying I didn't deserve that, because we were just trying to do it, But I didn't get it. Why, And much later, only recently I realized that it was not sort of a recognition I'm getting for work that is already done. I was getting it so that wherever I went, I would take it proudly and continue to do. It was His Majesty's way of keeping me inspired for all times to come. And I also thought that was His Majesty's message to all the stakeholders who are working in this sector to kindly help me. Chablop, So when I went with that name, many people who are smart enough to understand actually helped me,
So you started Bhutan Toilet Organization in the year 2015, Mola?
14, 15 working, and 16 we registered.
So now it has been almost 6-7 years now, 5-6 years roughly, we can say that.
16 to 2, yeah, it's going to be 6.
And do you see any difference?
There is a major difference. All the public toilets across the country are usable now. Back then, it was not usable. People didn't mind. Sadly, people didn't mind, okay? They would go into a public toilet. It was, filled with feces, rotten and decomposed, also black. It's all over, clothes, everything, rocks. But people still went there. If they are facing emergency, they will use it, then they will leave. No complaints. Because culturally, we didn't have necessarily have toilet. Only some major institutions had some toilet, that too very primitive toilet. So we didn't have toilet technology of whole sanitation technology wasn't there. People were happy going outside in the bush. In fact, that term used in my village is going to the toilet means chilujuge. Chilujuge means chilu means outside. Let's go outside, Levi, which means you can do it anywhere. So people were happy with that, and when toilet came in, we couldn't handle it properly. Suddenly it was something new that people could not actually get their head around it.
The initiative began here in Thimphu, right?
Right.
Now, how has this branched out?
I think as soon as we started in 2014-15, when we actually didn't focus just in Thimphu. Actually, it was across the country, and we have always maintained that. And realizing that public toilets are damaged not only by people used to blame villages, but I realized that it's not Minaps. It's everyone in Bhutan, including those educated young and beautiful youth. They are responsible. So wondering what happened, and then finally the answer came from school toilets. School toilets were horrific, principals and teachers don't even care about how school toilets are. Only some schools have great toilets, okay, but generally all, and students are used to such dirty toilets and throwing rock into toilet, fighting behind the toilet, smoking behind toilets were place where they did all the wrong things. And then they graduate from school and they come to the town and they also do that onto the public toilets, the institution toilets. We all came from that sort of toilet, and we do this onto the society. So where we wanted to start was school toilet. We went and fixed, now I think 2,800 toilets that you fixed by there. When these students get used to clean toilet, then they see dirty toilet, they cannot tolerate, they will complain. So I'm waiting for the time when Bhutanese people cannot go to the dirty toilets. Dirty toilets, they get so come low. If they can complain, that is when change will happen.
I think that you are along the way where you will be able to, fingers crossed, to change the mindset of people. And then I hope that people, when they enter a dirty toilet, they actually feel like, oh, I can't. And then there's this need that they need to also take actions. So now, you have done, like you were a blogger, you now have Bhutan Toilet Organization, you were a writer. Apart from blogging, you came up with a book, and then you have this new thing, Bookness, going on. So can you talk about Bookness and your book and how it came about now?
Right. So, again, that is what a smart person would do, because I wasn't, even though I have written so many stories on my blog, I was not getting invited to, those literature things, festivals and all. And somebody who has just written a small book yesterday would be included because they have a book. So I realized that entry to such a festival, literature is very close to my heart. I love literature, but to be included in that circle, you need to have a book. And actually, I have a book ready from very long time ago, a book of short stories, also a short novel. But I could never publish them because I wanted to bring out the story when it is so mature, when I am able to express the message so clearly. And that is taking a very long time. It has been 20 years in making now. Still there, still rewriting, okay? And when in the last few good years, when literature was thriving in Bhutan and all these events were happening and me not getting invited, I thought I need a shortcut ticket. So I published 100 articles from 700 articles I have on my blog and put it as Passu Diary, and wow, it's sold very well. In fact, those were the lean days of my resigned from job, not having. So this served me. It made me good money also. I knew how to, the whole art of publishing, designing, publishing a book. Actually, if you can sell books, it's very profitable. There's a good margin. But problem is, after printing a book, you cannot sell the book. So I wanted to help those people, and then started something called Bookness. Bookness as in books by Bhutanese. So Bookness, I joined these two words, and it became an e-commerce platform. Whole idea was to have a Bookness station in every Dzongkhag, so that when a book is published in the Thimphu, I want to have books in all 20 Dzongkhags, and then we will do vigorous promotion from here. And when people from another Dzongkhag ask, where can I get it? We will say, go to this cafe in this town, is there. Go to this shop, this is there. But then logistically it was becoming very expensive. And then somebody smart told me, oh, why? Now it's internet age. Just like having shelf in every Dzongkhag, you can have a website that can be viewed from every Dzongkhag, click and buy. So e-commerce platform, Bookness became e-commerce platform, and now we have over 380 books by Bookness, 160 authors registered. So I'm helping all those. And some people may not want the service, it's okay. But those who want the service, we always help promote their book and distribute their book. Two options, Yava. And before doing that, like you said earlier, I also help them understand the whole process of publishing a book.
So it's like a platform that acts like an archive of sort. When I saw the website, it's not just the recent books, but a lot of books from old authors, very popular authors, which by now, if we go and search in the market, we can't
won't get. Yes. So Ajukunzang wrote many books. Okay, she's the most one of the most respected authors, internationally known author. But if you search for her, before Bookness was there, if you search for Ajukunzang's book, you will get 2 or 3 books. Okay, so internationally, they will only recognize books that are of their anime. They have seen or any. But we know that she has written more than that. There are many books. So Bookness now we have put all up. 12 books, maybe now 14 books children's books. See now, Kunzang Children's search Biochi, you get to her profile and you see all her books. It's my way of respecting, Tashkama Uragi books. Sonam Kingagi books, some are like very old that you cannot find a book cover on internet. But with Bookness, we have put all.
And how did you manage to find those books?
Yeah, it was a big. Initially, it was a big hassle. We had to go from library to library looking for book cover. So you're right when you said it's an archive. It's a national archive. This is my contribution to the country. I want to archive all the books that are ever written by any Bhutanese.
Apart from looking for the next big thing, is there something that we should look forward to, or a final message to people who are watching right now who takes inspiration from Yula?
Listen, there is nothing big happening, but I'm always dwelling with the idea that Bookness has just started. It has some big ideas inside it. Okay, right now I haven't even gone to ebooks and audiobooks, and then textbook is coming in. So these major things are going to come into Bookness, and I'm waiting for very smart programmers to come and work with me. And other than this, in the field of Bhutan Toilet and Nalo, also we are working on the toilet enterprise, where we are making sure that all the best technologies from where the world are brought here, so that our people need not suffer. I'm continuously shaping the toilet technology, so I think that's what I'm doing. But as of now, from my side, let's start with 2 things. No mala, chahi koni di lama. We are so it's so unfair that lalu chahi ko lalu ki thu, lalu chahi ko. It's so unfair. Che latsa gin beve. Chigi credit rogi banyure mituvat mosh. Che chahi komi de rogi babach mituvate. Rogi thuchunira me rangera thugo. Tatamsi the legend is so much. This doesn't work that way, no. So I think it works with toilet also. I think we need to build better toilets, and for people who are not involved in building, please contribute by maintaining it. Your contribution towards that would be maintaining it.
Well, it sounds really exciting, whatever your plans are. And I think that when I say this, I speak for everyone who are watching us. Thank you so much for doing this service for us, love. This brings us to the end of our episode, The Storytellers of drukyul, and I hope that you got to learn a little more about Chablop passu here today. With that, this is your host, Tiki Sangmo, signing off, and I'll see you next time.